Hello everyone, my name is Patrick Dennis with Synaptic Advisory Partners, and today I just want to take a couple of minutes to show you an example or a demonstration of how Youreka can be used in the specific case of home health assessments. So what you're about to see is, let's pretend like we're an organization that's responsible for conducting home health assessments. So we're going to visit a patient in their home and we're going to conduct that health assessment. We're going to collect a bunch of information using the Youreka mobile app, and then we're going to push it back up into Salesforce, and then we'll be able to kind of look at all that data in a bunch of different ways, and we'll see how it helps us. But before we get going, I kind of want to begin with the end in mind here. Remember, all this information that we are collecting in the field is going to be pushed back into Salesforce. And so as I continue with the demo, I always want you to be thinking back to all this information is going to be feeding things like dashboards and reports in the system that management and the executive team will always be able to use to make better decisions about the organization and about the performance of everybody in the field, particularly in this case, but really anyone that's collecting this information. We're always driving that data back into Salesforce, which we can use to report on and stuff. So with that said, we're going to open up our iPad and open up the Youreka mobile app where we can find our annual health assessment. And so when we arrive at Frank's house, which is the guy right here that we're going to be assessing today, we can open up his assessment and we'll notice a couple things right off the bat. The fields at the top are actually already populated, and the reason for this is because this is information that's being actually pulled from the contact record in Salesforce. And what we're able to do with this is we can actually make changes to that record right here on the spot. So we're able to kind of continuously make sure that our data is up to date in the system. So with that said, we're going to begin and we're going to start to ask Frank some questions. The first one is, do you have access to reliable transportation? We'll say no in this case, and then we'll continue on with the assessment. The first thing being talking about Frank's skin. So we're going to ask Frank if he has any concerns related to his skin. He says he's got a few suspicions. And so what you'll notice here is that we were actually able to show additional questions based on the answer to that first question. And this is a huge benefit that Youreka can offer, which is that conditional logic that we can build in the system. It really helps guide folks that are collecting this information through their process. In this case, we're guiding these care managers through their assessment. So we don't have to have all the questions possible being displayed. We only show the right questions at the right time so that we're only asking the right questions at the right time. In this case, we'll say that he has a mole that's larger than 1/4 of an inch and that it's changed in the last 6 months. So we're also prompted here to take a photo. So I've got a quick image here of a mole that we'll use. When we click that camera icon, we're able to use the iOS device or the Android device's camera app to take that image. We can name it whatever we want, or we can use the date and time stamp. And then now that we've got it captured, we can mark it up any way that we want to. And then when we click save on this image, we're going to have that stored right here on the form so that we can use it. We can view it later in Salesforce if we want to. Next up, we're going to ask about Frank's medications. And so by clicking that little plus icon, we're able to open up a series of questions about a specific medication that Frank might be taking. And a little technical note, these are related lists that we are sort of referencing underneath the contact record. So this is a related list about medications. We're going to type in Robax for Frank's back pain. And now, because we've referenced that medication to Frank's record, or we've sort of made that connection, when we save this record, we're going to now know, we're going to be able to have that relationship in the system between Robax and Frank. We're going to say that he takes 3 milligrams per day orally. So we'll mark that down. And then you'll notice as well, again, there's that plus sign. So we can add, theoretically, an infinite amount of medications that he might take. So we can be very flexible with the way that this form is capturing information. We'll just stick to one for now because of time. But we got a couple more questions here: diabetes, asthma, and depression. If we indicate that Frank has diabetes, there's your conditional logic that'll show you the questions related to diabetes. But in this case, we'll say that he doesn't. So when we mark that he doesn't, those will hide. Again, sort of guiding our care managers through their assessment. We'll say that Frank suspects he's got asthma. Here's that display logic again. We'll say that he doesn't use an inhaler, but what you'll notice is not only are we able to show different questions, but we can also show pictures like this. And so what this is able to do is if we have an instance where we have to show Frank how to use an inhaler because maybe he'll need one here in the future, we can do that right there. And it cuts down on the need for excessive training, or it cuts down on inconsistent results in the field. We're offering this resource to every single person that's doing this assessment in the field. So it's very consistent across the board. We're going to ask if there's a prescription delivery service. We say no. And then we also ask Frank about his primary care physician, how he feels about that person. And in this case, he said, I don't like their advice and they never have any appointments available. So we're going to push all this back up into Salesforce and we'll be able to view it later. But that's the end of our questioning for Frank. And so what we can do now is just click View Insights. And at this point in time, basically what we're doing, we're pushing all that data back up into Salesforce. We're powering dashboards and reports and firing off workflow automation and email alerts, whatever configuration you've got. And then we've also got Einstein here, which the care manager is able to sort of leverage right there on the spot. And so we can take some of the things that we've gathered here in the form, and Einstein can make some recommendations off of it. For example, with Einstein's sentiment, we're able to see that it was a fairly negative comment that Frank had about his primary care physician. We can use that piece of information however we wish later on. We're also using Einstein Vision here to tell Frank perhaps a next best action that he could do as it pertains to that mole on his skin. Einstein, based on the model that we've got in our system, Einstein indicates that maybe he should consult a dermatologist based on the picture that we've taken here. So we're able to leverage Einstein within our Youreka app as well. So we're able to sort of, again, help our reps in the field offer up next best actions based on what they've gathered. So thanks everyone for watching this demonstration today. If what you've just seen has piqued your interest, you can feel free to visit us at Youreka.io to learn more about the application, or you can visit us on the Salesforce App Exchange, where you can either test drive the application or you can click Get It Now and install it into your personal Salesforce instance, and you'll get the premium features for 30 days and you can play around with it and figure out how it might be most useful for you. So thanks again for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.